The invitation to my cousin Victoria's wedding was exactly what you'd expect from Manhattan's self-proclaimed next big fashion influencer. A handcrafted silk envelope containing a gold-embossed card that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Not that it mattered. I'd already heard from 3 different relatives that I wasn't actually expected to attend. "It's not personal, Maya," my Aunt Charlotte had said during her carefully worded phone call. "Vicky just wants everything to be perfect. You understand, right?" What she meant was that my sensible shoes and unfashionable job as a small-time seamstress didn't fit her daughter's carefully curated aesthetic. The fact that I'd been designing and making clothes since we were children, that I'd helped Vicky create her first fashion blog, that I'd spent countless hours teaching her about fabric and fit, none of that mattered now that she had 500,000 Instagram followers and a wedding budget bigger than most people's annual salary. I placed the invitation on my workbench next to the sketchbook where I'd been developing ideas for her wedding dress for the past year. Not that she'd asked me to. But old habits die hard, and I'd always designed for Vicky ever since we were kids playing dress-up in my mother's sewing room. My phone buzzed with a text from Aunt Charlotte. "Vicky's having a crisis. Her designer just quit. Something about creative differences. She's hysterical. Any chance you know someone who could help?" I stared at the message, thinking about the sketch that had arrived in my email 3 months ago. Alessandro Romano, the famous designer Vicky had hired, had sent it asking for my opinion. We'd been corresponding ever since, though Vicky had no idea. "The design lacks soul," he'd written. "Your cousin demands luxury. But she cannot define what that means beyond labels and prices. You understand construction, the poetry of fabric. Help me create something worthy of being called art." So I had. Late at night, after finishing my regular clients' alterations and repairs, I'd sketch and send ideas. Alessandro would refine them, add his signature flourishes, send them back. Together, we developed something beautiful. A gown that honored both high fashion and true craftsmanship. But last week, something had changed. Alessandro's messages became terse, frustrated. "Your cousin demands changes that would destroy the integrity of the design. She wants to add elements from various celebrity gowns, a mishmash of stolen ideas with no coherence. I cannot do it." I'd tried to mediate, to suggest compromises. But Vicky had always been stubborn, especially when she thought her social media reputation was at stake. Now I faced a choice. I could recommend another designer, someone who would give Vicky exactly what she wanted. A derivative collection of borrowed ideas designed to get likes and shares. Or I picked up my phone and called Alessandro. "Ah, my secret collaborator," he answered. "I assume you've heard." "That you quit?" "Yes, my aunt just texted me. This wedding, it has become a circus. All show, no substance. Like trying to create art with emojis." I took a deep breath. What if? What if we showed her our original designs? The ones we developed together? Silence crackled over the line. "Then you reveal your involvement? Risk your cousin's anger?" Maybe it's time she remembered who first taught her to appreciate real design. Before the influencer fame, before the borrowed aesthetics. He was quiet for a moment. "The sketches we created, they are superior to anything she has proposed." But she would have to admit that her plain cousin has talent she never acknowledged. Sometimes people need to face uncomfortable truths. "Ha, you are fiercer than your cousin knows." I could hear him smiling. "Very well. I will return, but only if we do this together. You will come to the design consultation tomorrow." My hands trembled slightly as I agreed. After hanging up, I gathered my sketchbooks, not just the wedding designs, but years of work. Designs I created for Vicky long before she became Victoria the influencer, back when she still valued creativity over cachet. The next morning, I walked into Alessandro's Manhattan studio wearing my most ordinary outfit, simple black dress, practical flats, no makeup. Vicky was already there, surrounded by her entourage of bridesmaids, all looking like they'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. She saw me first. "Maya, what are you doing here? This is a private consultation." "Your cousin is here at my request," Alessandro announced, sweeping into the room with his usual dramatic flair. "In fact, she is the reason I have returned to your project." Vicky's perfect features scrunched in confusion. "What are you talking about? You don't even know Maya." "No." He pulled out a folder. "Then how do you explain these?" One by one, he laid out our sketches. Months of collaboration captured in flowing lines and detailed notes. Vicky's face went from confused to shocked to something approaching horror as she recognized my handwriting in the margins. "This is impossible," she whispered. "Maya doesn't. She can't." "Cannot what?" Alessandro asked sharply. "Cannot design. Cannot understand haute couture. Look at these sketches, Victoria. Look at the innovation in construction, the understanding of how fabric moves, the balance of traditional technique with modern aesthetics. This is what real design looks like." Her hands shook as she picked up one of the sketches, coincidentally my favorite of our designs. But you're just a seamstress," she said to me. "You fix hems and mend tiers." "I learned to sew before I learned to draw," I said quietly, "because I believe you have to understand how things are made before you can design them properly. Something you used to believe too, before Instagram metrics became more important than genuine creativity." One of her bridesmaids peered at the sketches. "These are amazing," she breathed. "Vicky, this is so much better than those celebrity knockoffs you wanted." "Shut up," Vicky snapped. This is sabotage. You've all conspired against me. First Alessandro quits, then you bring in my cousin who isn't even invited to the wedding to humiliate me." "No one is conspiring against you," Alessandro cut in. "Your cousin has been helping me design your dress for months because she knows you. The real you, not the superficial persona you've created. Every decision, every detail was chosen with your true style in mind, not what you think your followers want to see." "I don't believe you," Vicky said, but her voice wavered. "Maya's never designed anything important." Wordlessly, I opened my oldest sketchbook. There, carefully preserved, were the drawings we'd made as teenagers. Vicky in elaborate gowns, both of us dreaming of future fashion careers. Her handwriting mixed with mine in the margins, full of ideas and excitement. "You loved fashion then," I said softly. "Really loved it, not just the attention it brought. Remember when we stayed up all night designing your prom dress? How excited you were when we figured out how to make the skirt swirl exactly right." She stared at the old sketches, one hand reaching out to touch the pages before pulling back sharply. "That was different. We were kids. This is my wedding. Everything has to be perfect." "Perfect for who?" I challenged. "Your followers? The magazines? Or for you?" Before she could answer, Alessandro gathered up our wedding dress designs. "I will give you time to think. These designs represent months of work, understanding, and genuine creativity. They could make your wedding truly unique, truly yours, or you can hire someone else to copy other brides' dresses. The choice is yours." He turned to me. "Come, Maya. We have other matters to discuss." "Wait," Vicky called as we reached the door. "The blue dress. The one with the cascading panels. Can I see it again?" I hid my smile. It was the design I'd known she'd choose based on a dress we dreamed up together years ago. But what happened next would change everything, not just about the wedding, but about our entire family dynamic. Because Vicky wasn't the only one about to face some uncomfortable truths about talent, authenticity, and the true meaning of success. Alessandro's studio was silent after Vicky and her entourage left. I sat at his work table, surrounded by our sketches, waiting for the fallout I knew was coming. Right on cue, my phone exploded with messages. "Aunt Charlotte, how could you ambush Vicky like this? You know how stressed she is about the wedding." "Mom, your aunt is hysterical." "What happened at the designer's?" "3 different cousins." Did you really design Vicky's dress?" But it was the last message that made my hands shake. From Grandma Rose, the family matriarch who first taught me to sew. "It's time, dear. Bring Alessandro and your portfolios to my house tonight. All of them." I showed the text to Alessandro. His eyebrows rose. "All of them? Does she mean?" "Everything," I confirmed. "The bridal collection I've been developing, the evening wear line, the ready-to-wear sketches." "Ah," he smiled knowingly. "So I am not the only one who has been keeping secrets." I'd never told anyone about the collections I've been creating over the years. Designs that went way beyond alterations and repairs, filling dozens of sketchbooks in my small apartment. Even my regular clients, who trusted me with their special occasion alterations, had no idea I was secretly building an entire fashion brand. "Tonight could change everything," I said quietly. "Or," Alessandro prompted, "or it could confirm what Vicky and everyone else believes, that I'm just a small-time seamstress who got lucky helping a real designer." He snorted. False modesty does not suit you. My dear, bring your work. Let them see what real talent looks like. Grandma Rose's townhouse was packed when we arrived. Apparently, she'd summoned the entire family for this showdown. Vicky sat with Aunt Charlotte, both looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. Mom stood by the fireplace, worried but supportive as always. Various aunts, uncles, and cousins filled the elegant living room. Finally, Grandma rose from her chair. Maya, Alessandro, please sit up in the dining room. Everyone else, patience. The dining table was perfect for displaying portfolios. As I laid out my work, not just the wedding designs, but years of collections, I heard gasps from the doorway. These are all yours? Cousin Emma whispered. But they're so professional? Alessandro supplied. Innovative, worthy of Paris Fashion Week? Vicky pushed through the gathering crowd. I don't understand. If you could design like this, why have you been working as a seamstress, fixing other people's clothes? Because Grandma said from her seat at the head of the table. She was learning, really learning, not just about fashion, but about how clothes work on real bodies, how different fabrics behave, what people actually need from their garments. She picked up one of my sketches, a convertible dress that could adapt to different body types. This isn't just design, it's engineering. Understanding, something no amount of Instagram followers can teach you. But Aunt Charlotte started. Enough, Grandma's voice cracked like a whip. I've watched for years as this family dismissed Maya's talent because it didn't come with a fancy label. Watched you all fawn over Victoria's social media success, while ignoring the real artistry in your midst. She turned to Alessandro. You saw it, didn't you? In those first sketches she sent you? He nodded. Raw talent, refined by years of practical experience. When Victoria hired me, I was, how do you say, burned out. Tired of creating for celebrities who only want copies of other designs. Then I saw Maya's work and I remembered why I love fashion. Which brings us to this. Grandma pulled out a heavy envelope. Maya, do you know what this is? I shook my head. Your grandfather's final gift to you. He knew, we both did, that you needed time to develop your skills away from family pressure. So he left you something in trust. A gift you'd only receive when you were ready. My hands trembled as I opened the envelope. Inside was a deed and bank statements, a small building in the garment district, an account with enough capital to launch a fashion line. He bought the building 20 years ago, Grandma explained. Back when you first started sketching designs instead of just sewing. Said someday you'd need a proper atelier. The room erupted in chaos. Aunt Charlotte was crying about fairness and family obligations. Cousins were excitedly examining my portfolios. Mom looked like she might faint. But I was watching Vicky. My cousin stood silent, running her fingers over one of my evening wear sketches. This one, she said finally. I remember when you first drew something like it. We were 15, planning our futures. You said you'd design me a dress like this for my wedding someday. You remember that? I remember everything, she whispered. How patient you were teaching me about fashion. How you never got angry when I took all the credit for our joint projects. How you supported my blog even when I started pretending I'd learned everything from industry professionals instead of my cousin. She looked up, tears in her eyes. I got so caught up in the influencer persona, in what my followers expected, that I forgot who I really am, who we were together. The blue dress, I said quietly. The one you liked in Alessandro's studio. It's based on those old sketches we made together. I know, she smiled sagely. I recognize your signature layering technique. You always did love making fabric move like water. Alessandro cleared his throat. Perhaps this wedding dress could be a collaboration. The first official project of Maya's new atelier, with both your influences. You'd still want to work with me? Vicky asked. After how I've behaved. You're my cousin, I said simply. And somewhere under all the Instagram filters is the girl who used to spend hours discussing sleeve construction and hem techniques. What followed was a whirlwind of activity. The building needed renovation, but with Alessandro's help, we transformed it into a working atelier in record time. Vicky's wedding became our launch project, with her massive social media following documenting the entire process, giving full credit to both designers this time. The dress was everything we dreamed of creating together. Classic yet innovative, traditional yet uniquely modern. When Vicky walked down the aisle, the gasps weren't just for her beauty, but for the artistry she wore. Maya Anderson Designs opened officially the week after the wedding. Our first collection, a collaboration between me, Alessandro, and yes, Vicky, sold out within hours. Turns out authentic talent combined with social media influence is a powerful combination. Yesterday, I found an old photo while unpacking boxes in my new office. Two young girls in badly sundresses playing fashion designer in a suburban sewing room. I framed it and put it on my desk, next to the magazine covers featuring our wedding dress design. Vicky came by later, bringing coffee and sketches for our next collection. She saw the photo and smiled. "We were pretty good together, weren't we?" she said. "We still are," I replied. "Just needed a reminder of what really matters in fashion and family." She picked up her latest sketch, still very Vicky with its dramatic flair, but now grounded in real design principles. "Think Grandma was right about needing time to learn properly?" "She usually is." I adjusted a line on her drawing, showing how to make the draping work better. Success isn't just about talent or fame. It's about understanding your craft, respecting the process, and being true to your vision. And she added softly, remembering who helped you find that vision in the first place. The buzz of the workroom filtered through my office door. Seamstresses teaching apprentices, designers collaborating on new ideas, real fashion being created by real people who understood both artistry and craft. Sometimes the most authentic path isn't the most glamorous one. Sometimes you have to step back to move forward. And sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's helping them remember who they really are. Our spring collection debuts next week. The invitation list includes every family member who ever dismissed my little sewing hobby. They'll sit in the front row, watching as Maya Anderson Designs takes its place in the fashion world. Not bad for a plain seamstress from the suburbs. But the best part, every garment tag bears a small embroidered rose, Grandma's signature flower. Because some legacies aren't about money or property or social media fame. They're about honoring the people who taught you to create something real.